Hi everybody, this is Ashley with Ashley Says So, and I am back with another Old Hollywood Scandals video. And yes, my website, ashleysaysso.net, is up and running. Y'all go ahead and order y'all some shirts, some tumblers, maybe a tote bag, because everything is free shipping, honey. And because it's free shipping, it's probably gonna take just a little while to get to you. But still, everything is better when it's free, honey. And when you get your items, make sure you tag me on Facebook, on Instagram, on any platform you follow me on. Tag me and post a picture of yourself with the merch, because I want to share those pictures. And then maybe a few months down the road, when we're looking for brand ambassadors, you could be one of those. And one more thing, when you guys visit the website, do not forget to sign up for the weekly newsletter, because I have a blog running on my website that's gonna have all the juice, old and new celebrity tea, current news, healthy lifestyle tips, just everything, honey. Sign up for the newsletter. And as always, if you want to help the channel out by sending gifts, I have the Amazon gift link in the description. But for now, what time is it, honey? Time to get to the Charlie last name Wilson tea. And Charlie, baby, you know you was something else, but you was a fighter too. Let's get to it. Charles Kent Wilson was born on January the 29th, 1953 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His parents' names were Reverend Oscar Wilson, a Kojic minister, and Lucy Wilson, the Kojic District Choir Director and church piano player. Now, along with Charlie, the Wilsons had several other children, but it was only two of those children who would grow up to work with Charlie later on. And that was his elder brother, Ronnie, and his younger brother, Robert. Now, since Charlie's parents were holy rollers, like people would call them back then, and with his mother being a pianist, it was really only natural that Charlie would grow up with musical ability. Gossip claims that he was only around 4 years old when he came to his mother telling her that he wanted to learn how to play instruments and he also wanted to sing. And it was not long before little Charlie was up in front of the church causing a big old ruckus and also causing folks to get the Holy Ghost. And Charlie wasn't the only one putting his musical talent to use. Rumor has it that most of, if not all of the Wilson children were musically inclined. And soon his eldest brother Ronnie started to play in his own band. Now Charlie liked to sing, but he wasn't really keen on joining a band at first, especially not his brother Ronnie's band. Instead, he tried his hand at sports. But the folks say that during a football game, some big large boy came and knocked Charlie into the middle of next week, and it took him a good 5 minutes to wake up. They say he also tried basketball, but that didn't work out for him either. The only time Charlie felt at home is when he joined the school's marching band. Now, Charlie's scandalous ways started pretty early in life. By the time he was 12 years old, he was already staying out late at night, already smoking weed, trying to talk to the girls, drinking here and there, and his parents were absolutely horrified at their son acting a fool. Now, they tried to take it easy on him at first, talking to him, telling him he needed to straighten up, but baby, ain't none of that mess work. So soon, the blows came raining down. Baby, the folks say that one Sunday morning, Charlie's daddy was heading to church, and as he was heading out, Charlie was just coming in from staying out all night. Now, his daddy didn't swing on him, but he told him, "You messing up, boy. We're gonna have a talk when you get home." Child, why come when Charlie's daddy got home, Charlie was gone from the house again? Basically, he had decided that he was just gonna do what he wanted to do. And what's even worse, he didn't get home until about 2 o'clock that morning. Well, gossip claims that he tried to sneak into the house by the back door, but he could not get in, so he had no choice but to walk through the front door. He walked in and walked right into his mama's bill. And Mama Wilson was just wailing, and Charlie sitting up there, hollering and crying, acting like it hurt, because on the inside he was really laughing. Well, soon he started hearing jingling sounds coming from the back bedroom, and now he really was hollering and rolling all over the floor and crying for real, because he knew that was his daddy coming with his bill. And they say his daddy told him up something fierce, baby. Said Charlie was running all around the house, climbing the walls and everything, trying to get away from that bill. And then all Charlie's siblings came walking out of their room with their faces all long, crying, Daddy doing too much now. He gonna kill our brother." And I guess Charlie's mother may have felt the same way, because gossip claims that she told her husband, "Oscar, stop. You gonna mess around and kill that boy." And baby, I know Charlie Wilson ran up to his bedroom and started crying and checking his back in the mirror, because that whooping sounded like it wasn't no joke. But allegedly, one of the main reasons that Charlie Wilson did act out so bad during his teen years was because of his father. Because, honey, the rumors floating around the Kojic Street said that the good Reverend Oscar father had let his human flesh take over multiple times in his life. Child said the women of the church will be needing a ride home, and the Reverend will be offering the ride and some TT to go along with it, honey. Honey said Reverend Oscar should have been called Reverend Oscar Mayer. And yes, I'm being messy, but his father was human and he was making very human mistakes. But when Charlie would find out about these endeavors, it would make him angry and he would act out. And gossip claims there was this one episode that truly sent teenage Charlie on a downward spiral. And that is when his father upped and left one day and never came back. Oh, it was a scandal, honey. His daddy, sitting up all high and mighty in the church, had gotten his side chick pregnant. And gossip claims that instead of his father facing the humiliation, he packed up his clothes one day, picked up his mistress, and rode out of town. And just like that, Charlie was fatherless, and his mother was a single mother to several children. Now, Charlie Wilson goes very deeply into this stuff in his book. I would recommend you guys go get it if you haven't. Here it is. So there's a lot of detail in there about his relationship with his father, but I can tell you that later on in life they did reconcile. But at this age of 13 years old, Charlie was devastated, and his father doing this left a very nasty taste in his mouth. And Charlie showed this nasty taste by acting out more than he ever had before. The late nights out continued, but now gossip claims he was skipping school. Sometimes he was quick to buck authority, but there was one good thing happening in his life, and that was his burgeoning music career. In his early teen years, gossip claims that he joined a band called the Carver GT, and this band would perform at school functions, local teen functions, but very soon they started performing in clubs. And it probably could have been all positive from here for Charlie, but he still had that nasty, reckless attitude. And all of this false bravado on a teen in a nightclub full of grown people sometimes spelled disaster. Listen at this. Story says that Charlie, who was probably around 16 years old at this time, is dating an older woman. So maybe this woman is around 20, 21 years old. I suppose Charlie had finished playing his set with his band, and now he was sitting in the audience with his new girlfriend. Well, he ends up having to use the bathroom, and when he gets back, there's this guy sitting beside his woman. And this guy is older than Charlie. Some stories say maybe even 15 years older than Charlie. And so Charlie kind of stood back, kind of assessing the situation, and he saw very quickly that this guy was attracted to his girl and probably trying to make a move on his girl. And so Charlie tells the guy, "Hey dude, you need to get up, you in my seat." Man glances at Charlie, looks him up and down, and then proceeds to just sit there. Charlie is like, "Man, you didn't hear me? Get your ass up out of my seat." This time, the man looks at Charlie, smirks, and then he turns back to doing what he's doing, but he also whispers in Charlie's girlfriend's ear, and the girlfriend just starts laughing. You know, she's just a giggling. And most likely, this guy has told her that Charlie is a punk bitch. Or at least that's what Charlie felt like he said. And baby, he is jumping mad. And he was literally jumping when he pointed to the older guy and told him, "I got something for you. Wait right here. As a matter of fact, you don't need to be waiting here when I get back. If you do, I got something for you." And then Charlie takes his jumping jack tail and runs down the street to his house. When he gets to his house, he grabs a gun and he starts hustling back to the club, looking like he's doing a 100-yard dash. Well, while he's running, his older brother, Ronnie, pulls up beside him and tells him, "Woo! Man, Charlie, I was looking for you. I'm so glad you out of that club. Hey, don't go back up there. It's this big boss cat up there with all his friends, and they all got guns out waiting outside saying that they waiting for some young dude. Man, they say they finna kill that nigga because he talked to their boss wrong." Baby, Charlie ain't missed a step, honey. He kept right on running. But now it looked like he was running a 200-yard dash because, child, that boy busted U-turn so clean, ran back to his house, got in his bed, and started praying, thanking God for saving his life. And there was another story that showed how young and naive Charlie was and how his false bravado almost got him in trouble. Gossip claims that a lot of nights when he would play at this club, his school principal would come in there. And of course, the principal is being his regular cool self because this is after school hours. You know, this is on his time. He's in the club. And so everybody in the club calls him Pookie. And once he starts seeing Charlie playing in the band and, you know, he starts talking and conversing with Charlie, he allows Charlie to call him Pookie. Well, one day at school, while Charlie is walking to class, he sees the principal. And out of nowhere, this boy just starts yelling, "Hey, Pookie! Pookie! You know you hear me talking to you, Pookie. Them folks say you need to pay your bar tab at the club. You ought to be shaming yourself drinking all that liquor, not paying no bar tab." Saying all this in front of students, other teachers. Baby said the principal almost put hands on that boy. He actually expelled Charlie. Now, luckily, it was only for 30 minutes, but during that 30 minutes, he took Charlie inside of a classroom and told him, you don't address me like that. I am your principal. Well, shoot, I be seeing you at the club with all the women. You be sitting up there drinking in front of me. And the principal told him, a lot of people see me out, but they know the difference of when I'm having fun and when it's time to be professional. And allegedly, he went on explaining the difference between a teenager and an adult. But child, he could have kept all that. Charlie felt like he already was an adult because of the atmosphere that he was around. And this made him susceptible to a lot of things that went on in that nightclub. He saw a lot of pimps slapping women around, a lot of adults touching on each other inappropriately. In fact, it was at one of these nightclubs when he had his first hit of cocaine. And the drugs didn't ruin his life at this moment, but a little later on, they would come back with a vengeance and try to destroy him. But to get to that, we have to speak a little bit about his career. Now, I've already told you that Charlie's brother Ronnie had his own band. And at one point, it got to where Ronnie and Charlie's bands were rival. But eventually, Charlie did end up joining his brother Ronnie's band, and the band was called the Gap Band. And what many folks don't know is that GAP, Gap, is actually paying homage to the people who were killed during the Tulsa race riot. G stands for Greenwood, A stands for Archer, and P stands for Pine, which were either streets or districts where the riots took place. So Charlie joins the Gap Band, and they are a good band. They start playing to full houses, but after high school, Charlie goes off to college, but he ends up coming back to Tulsa and the Gap Band during his sophomore year. And by this time, his younger brother Robert had also joined the band, and now everybody was looking to expand. They were looking to really become stars. And from this moment on, these brothers made severe mistakes and were jerked around so fiercely. You really truly feel sorry for them, especially Charlie Wilson. Now, they first started working with a man named Leon Russell. And Leon got them to open for Kiss and the Rolling Stones, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he wanted to have Charlie go solo and Charlie refused. So Leon stopped working with them. After this, Charlie and his brothers went to California to try to find representation, try to find work. But gossip claims when it came down to finding this work, like really doing the real hard physical work, Charlie took on that responsibility. Trying to find management, trying to find a record deal, trying to find gigs. Gossip claims, again, this responsibility was almost all Charlie's by himself. And since Charlie was basically begging anybody that he knew in the industry for a chance, this made him and his brothers a very easy mark. And allegedly, a man named Lonnie Simmons saw this mark, and this is when the drama began. Lonnie Simmons was a record producer who had already worked with Switch, Billy Paul, and multiple others. And although he brought quick fame to a lot of these people, gossip claims that in most cases that was all he brought. Allegedly, he had a hard time sustaining their fame, and allegedly he also brought a lot of trouble. Well, Charlie did not know this, and when he met this man Lonnie told Charlie that he was going to make him and his brothers very famous and very wealthy. So Charlie and his brothers signed a contract that would allow Lonnie Simmons to be the manager to the Gap Band. And of course, they ain't read not one word on the contract. So before long, Lonnie Simmons' name is on most, if not all of the songs, even if he had nothing to do with writing them. And not only that, whenever the Gap Band perform anywhere, they never get any money, but it seems like Lonnie keeps getting money. Well, none of this mattered at first because Charlie and his brothers just had stars in their eyes. And when Lonnie Simmons got them signed to Mercury Records, oh, they were ecstatic. It was only when they started to release their albums and started to do huge shows and still didn't see any money that the cracks really started to show. And this was terrible for all of the brothers, but gossip claims that it was double terrible for Charlie because a lot of the times the brothers looked at him like, you the one signed the contract. Where's our money? What are we doing? And he didn't have an answer for them. And baby, when I say they were broke, they were baroque. So the story says that the Gap Band was about 2 or 3 records in, and on these records there had been some hits, but they still hadn't seen any money. Certainly no hundreds of thousands of dollars. And honestly, I don't even think that they had seen $20,000, maybe $10,000 at the most. And so the story says that Charlie Wilson ended up getting depressed because he was kind of heartbroken. You know what I'm saying? Like, he and his brothers had been working their behind off, and nobody was telling them where their money was or when the money was coming. And so on this particular night, he started crying, and the people say that he started crying in front of Lonnie Simmons. And allegedly, Lonnie Simmons is like, man, Charlie, don't cry. You know, man, I know it's tough. And I wish I could help y'all, but man, y'all only bringing in enough money to pay me. I wish y'all would bring some more money. Look outside. I'm still driving my old Rolls Royce. And gossip claims that Charlie kind of laughed about this a little bit, but later on he found out that not only had Lonnie bought another Rolls Royce, gossip claims the man had even bought a Mercedes. All the while steady lying, telling Charlie and his brothers that they wasn't bringing no money in. So when Charlie found out about these cars, this really upset him, but he didn't say anything. Well, allegedly, the blow up happened after the Gap Band released their album, The Gap Band 4. And this album was a big one, honey, because it had You Dropped the Bomb on Me. Now, the Gap Band had already had several bangers, but this one right here, it was easily their most memorable song, and some people would say their best song. So the album drops, and the brothers are feeling good, baby. They are waiting for their big, huge payday. Surely they got something coming to them. Wrong. Gossip claims they still didn't get no kind of check worth no kind of money paid out to them. So that depression that Charlie was in a year or two before, oh, it comes back with a vengeance. And so he's in the studio with Lonnie Simmons, and baby, he ain't crying this time. He's just ticked. I mean, he's sitting up there mean mugging. He ain't saying nothing to nobody. And I haven't told you too much about Charlie Wilson's adult attitude, but it was nothing like his teen attitude. As an adult, Charlie Wilson had a huge heart. He was very kind, didn't want to make waves. He was non-confrontational, which is really how he found himself in this position anyway. He should have been said something. But anyways, on this particular day, Charlie ain't really looking for confrontation, but if it comes, baby, it comes. So incredibly, while Charlie is sitting there all moping and mad, rumor has it Lonnie Smith is up pacing around the room talking about, man, we got to think of a way for y'all to bring more money in, man. Said Charlie looked up and was like, well, brother, it looked like you got money. Matter of fact, you got your new Rolls Royce, didn't you? I saw you driving it on the other side of town. Cha said that Lonnie Simmons was in his face in an instant. Nigga, you crazy? You don't ever question my purchases. This my money. I've been putting the work in for you and your brothers. You don't talk to me like that, blah, blah, blah. He's doing all of this talking, and the fatal mistake comes when he says, Charlie, you sitting up here talking to me about money? You ain't got nothing coming to you because you and your brother still owe me $3 million. Huh? Baby Charlie Wilson got up nose to nose with that man so doggone fast and hocked a huge glob of spit and spit it right into Lonnie Simmons' face. And he didn't put no hands on Lonnie, but gossip claims that he cursed that man out like there was no tomorrow. After this episode, he went home and he cried like a baby. He and his brothers really did not have much of anything. Maybe they had a house, but even if they did, it wasn't one of these huge celebrity mansions. I think they may have had cars, but again, these were just regular little cheap cars. They basically had the fame with no fortune. Allegedly, they were the first TLC. And it's possible they worked with Lonnie Simmons even after this episode. But by the 1990s, really everything was falling apart, especially for Charlie Wilson. Now, he had been doing drugs the whole time he'd been in show business, basically living that party life like many other people that I've done. But the folks say by the year 1992 or 1993, with a lot of his work and projects drying up, Charlie used a lot of drugs to quell his depression and resentment that he had at the industry for basically chewing him up and spitting him out. And so he ended up becoming a full-on crack addict. And I'm talking about a real one. Any house that he may have had, he lost it. He lost all of his girlfriends. He lost some of his family, his friends. He was down so bad, he was a homeless crack addict living under a U-Haul truck. A piece of cardboard was his bed and a brick was his pillow. And this was so humiliating for Charlie Wilson, especially when his fans or other musicians saw him. And Charlie, trying to make it better, was actually making it worse. The folks say they would see Charlie Wilson running around skippy-headed with his clothes all ripped up. You know, he juking and jerking like some crackheads behave. And they would be like, hey, Charlie, how you doing? No, none. I just been recording in the studio all night. Woo, I've been so busy. You know, that's why I look the way I look. Just been in the studio all night. And Charlie wasn't fooling nobody. And of course, this wasn't the worst thing he experienced. Gossip claims that a lot of times, in fact, majority of times, Charlie Wilson would get his drugs for free. A lot of times, big dealers would even invite him to their house simply because he was Charlie Wilson. They loved him. They loved his music. So the folks say that one day Charlie used somebody's phone and he called up one of these big dealers and was basically like, hey man, can I come over your house and get something? And the dealer told him, yeah, come on right over. Charlie gets there and the dealer is laid in the middle of the front room floor with a bullet to his head. Baby, Charlie ain't called no cops, ain't called no help, ain't called no nothing. Just took off running down the street. Folks say when the cops did show up, Charlie was in somebody else's yard peeking from behind a tree, checking out the scene. And then there are several stories about him seeing people die in front of his face. He also was arrested multiple times for drug charges. Life was a mess. He was living that drug addict life. And allegedly this lasted for at least 3 years before Charlie finally cleaned up his act. And baby, when I say he needed it, he definitely did. Because I guess Charlie Wilson had watched a Drew Hill music video or something. I don't know. All I know is that the folks say that Uncle Charlie showed up at the rehab center looking like Cisco. It said that every single cap, curl, and nap on his head was blonde. And I don't know what Uncle Charlie was thinking, but I do know that gossip claims that it was around 1995 when he finally did go to rehab. And the director of the facility, a woman by the name of Maheen, I hope I said that right, but a woman by the name of Maheen really cared for him. Even after he was released from the rehab center, this lady rented a house for him. She bought him furniture. Charlie was so impressed and felt so loved by this woman who didn't have to do this. She didn't. Felt so loved by her that he ended up marrying her. And gossip claims that Maheen fought hard to keep her husband on the right track, to keep him clean. There's even one story on the gossip blogs that says that at one point Charlie tried to relapse. Maheen walked into the crack house that he was in and pulled a gun on the drug dealer when he tried to stop her from taking her husband out of there. She even helped the Gap Band so Charlie and his brothers start getting gigs again. And the folks say that not only were his brothers allegedly not appreciative, some gossip claims that they started talking about Maheen and Charlie behind their back, even accusing Charlie of trying to make side deals or bringing in contracts where Charlie get paid the most. Now, I don't know if Charlie was really doing this or not, but allegedly this is what his brothers believe. All I know is by the year 2000, Charlie Wilson was solo. And he made some good songs, but he had been a member of the Gap Band for many years, and almost all of their big hits were back in the 1980s. So it was cool when he was doing these old school tours with his Gap Band brothers. But now that he was trying to do this solo thing, I think a lot of people didn't really take him seriously. So he really needed something huge that would put him back on the map. And the person he needed was R. Kelly. And just like I told y'all in the Ron Isley video, allegedly R. Kelly definitely was giving Charlie Wilson the runaround. In fact, Charlie Wilson had such a hard time getting a hold of R. Kelly that he had to wait in a gym over 6 hours just to try to catch R. Kelly playing basketball. And he was successful. R. Kelly ended up coming to the gym that night. So Charlie and R. Kelly set up a time to meet during the day. But y'all, why come when Charlie got to the meeting, Mr. Big was there checking out the scene? The folks say that Mr. Big was sitting in during the meeting, rubbing his hands together and talking. And I think Charlie Wilson may have done something to rub Mr. Big, aka Ron Isley, the wrong way. Allegedly, all three of them were discussing how to bring Charlie Wilson out on the scene, how to introduce him to the world. And R. Kelly says something like, I got it. I'm gonna write a song, but in the video, I'm gonna have it where you and Ron are both bosses, and y'all kind of going against each other. And in the end, you take all of Ron's girls, and since his name is Mr. Big, your name is gonna be Mr. And honey, Charlie wouldn't even let him finish before he said no. He told R. Kelly he didn't want to be no Mr. King, no Mr. C, no Mr. B. He said he didn't need none of that. He didn't need no other persona. He just wanted to be Charlie Wilson. And y'all ain't got no proof that Ron Isley was upset. But baby, I can just about imagine that man in his head cursing Charlie Wilson out. Because how dare you say that you don't need no persona while sitting directly across from a person that used a show enough persona when he got introduced to the younger generation? Baby, I know Mr. Big was sweating out that Jerry curl perm. He probably wanted to throat punch Charlie Wilson. But to move on, thankfully, R. Kelly didn't get offended by what Charlie Wilson said because he told Charlie, okay, cool, you don't like that? I'll come up with something. And baby, he did. The song was called Charlie, last name Wilson, and the song was a hit. It did what it was supposed to do, and it put Charlie Wilson right back on the map. It was a huge, grand success. Charlie was very grateful, but he did worry about how he was going to follow up. Because when it came time for a follow-up, allegedly, he can no longer really rely on the skills of R. Kelly because R. Kelly was caught up with those 2008 legal problems. Charlie didn't panic, though. Gossip claims that he had his wife to help him and talk him through, and so he used his brain, and he ended up hooking up with Babyface. Not only Babyface, there was Kenneth Copeland and several other writers. And they came up with my jam. And ooh, I've been waiting on this moment. There goes my baby. Doon, 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 doon. And there goes my destiny, only it's one for me. There goes my baby. Yes, Charlie. There goes my baby. Charlie had a hit song. Everybody knew it except the record label. Allegedly, they did not believe in this record, so much so that they would not give Charlie Wilson any money to produce a video. So gossip claims that he asked Snoop if he could use the footage of Snoop and Shantae's vow renewal service to put in the video, and Snoop agreed. And speaking of Snoop and Uncle Charlie, their relationship is very, very real. Did y'all know that Charlie Wilson was the one that stopped Snoop from smoking for a year? But to get back to the story, Charlie Wilson was able to use the footage. The video came out. Folks was laughing at Snoop crying at the end, but that was all right. Charlie Wilson was winning, and in a huge way. There Goes My Baby did so well that it was nominated for a Grammy. And although it did not win, it sealed Charlie Wilson's place in music history as a superstar. And he was also a real-life hero to a lot of people. Even for me, I'm actually a real-life fan now. Y'all know how much I love people that open up, especially people that open up and end up overcoming their challenges. And he did that. This man was down in the trenches. A lot of people thought he would die there. And he climbed all the way back up to the top because of his big, huge heart. That same big, huge heart that allowed people to walk over him was the same one that gave him the strength and power to change, the strength and power to make it. I think around 2008, 2009, he even had a bout with prostate cancer, and he beat it. So everything that Charlie Wilson has, from the looks of it, he absolutely deserves it. And they say that he is the most respected uncle in show business, said that everybody call him Uncle Charlie. And so this is the end of the old Hollywood scandalous tale of Uncle Charlie, last name Wilson. If you guys liked and enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like the video. If you guys have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I will be back with another video soon. Love you guys so much. Bye.